So in today's video, we've got an update on Ben Simmons to the New York Knicks. So Jake Weinbach reported that Ben Simmons is reportedly a strong candidate for the Knicks' final veteran minimum contract slot. Simmons can provide value in New York as a secondary ball handler and versatile defender. The former top overall pick would be a very solid depth piece for the Knicks at the very least. And then Brian Windhorst this morning posted that Simmons is more than likely going to make his decision on his next team next week. The Kings, Suns, Knicks, and Celtics have all been connected to him. I mean, certainly we don't want him to go to the Celtics. Not that it would scare us anymore. I just don't like the Celtics. I mean, Kings, Suns, whatever. But I think the Knicks make a lot of sense. And to this point, it's between Ben Simmons and Landry Shamet. So if the Knicks don't get Ben Simmons next week, they're going to pivot to Landry Shamet, which I don't think would be bad to begin with. But just the upside of Ben Simmons is intriguing because he defends at a high level. He can switch everything, guard any position. He also can play make. He can dribble the ball up, and he take a lot of pressure off of Jalen Brunson. And when you think of Jalen Brunson, you think of him being a prolific scorer. You think of him being a great teammate, a very good passer, efficient. He's very clutch, like all those things. But when you think of what he's not good at, certainly it is the defensive side of the ball. So the more defenders that you put around Brunson, even more important is guys that have length and size on them that can switch multiple positions. That's how the Knicks should be building around Brunson. They don't need any more offense. They don't need any more shooting. The scheme certainly needs to be tweaked, but that's why they brought in Mike Brown. And he had the Kings as the number one team in NBA history in terms of offensive rating just, 3 years ago when he was the coach of the year? Feels like forever ago. But the truth is that, the Knicks were already a good offensive team last year. They could score points. They just couldn't get any stops. So I think Ben Simmons does make a ton of sense. I think my only concern is that, what do you get out of Ben in the playoffs? Because it seems like whenever the lights are the brightest, that's when Ben is at his worst. And he obviously can't stretch the floor, and he's not aggressive looking for his shot. He's a pretty solid free throw shooter. I'm not going to act like he's a 50% free throw shooter. He's about 73, 74%. But Ben in the playoffs for the Clippers was only playing 10 to 14 minutes a night. Can the Knicks get something out of him that no other team has been able to? Well, that's going to be the thing here. But in terms of just the back end of the bench, Ben Simmons or Landry Shamet, I personally, I'd love to have Ben Simmons. My only thing is that Landry Shamet already showed us in the playoffs that he's capable of coming in and knocking down timely shots and getting stops. And even though the Knicks don't need any more scoring, that doesn't mean that they don't have enough shooting. I mean, Jordan Clarkson's not an efficient scorer, an efficient shooter by any means. And then, off the bat, Deuce McBride can spot up and knock down threes. Yabusele's about 38% on 4 attempts a game. And that's it. So there's not too much shooting. I feel like the Knicks could benefit from both of them, but they fortunately just don't have the money. That's the issue when you got all these guys under contract, and of course Mitch and Mikal also need to be extended, is that you can't just be like, okay, we've got 2 more roster spots, boom, here's Ben Simmons, and then boom, here's Landry Shamet. The Knicks have to use that second round exception, whether it be, of course, James Najee or it be Mohamed Diawara, or they're going to go into the second apron, and the Knicks don't want to do that. I personally think they will. I think in even next season, if Mikal gets an extension, if Giannis is definitively staying with the Bucks and the Knicks just lock up Mikal long term, they say whatever. If we're not getting Giannis, I guess we'll do it. I think the Knicks will have to. Because how do you pay Mikal and Mitch? And it's not like they're going to take pay cuts. Mitch isn't going to be like, all right, here's $15 million a year when these teams are offering me $25 to $30 million a year. It's the same thing with Isaiah Hartenstein. The Knicks offered him as much as they could, and he went to the Thunder. And then Mikal Bridges, he's going to have a huge market. And there's going to be a lot of teams that would love to have his services, of his ability to, score 18 and 20 a night, to play high-level defense. Even though we didn't really see much of his high-level defense, we did see, spurts of it. Of course, he had a couple of key defensive plays against the Celtics. But I don't think Mikal was amazing. But I think a lot of it as well was he just played too many minutes. He was overworked. And, Tibbs, say what you want about Tibbs. Tibbs is good at turning guys into better players. But also we've seen, Obi Toppin, for example, wasn't even being played by Tibbs, and then goes to the Pacers, and I'm not going to say he was a star, but he legitimately, the plus and minus was at the top of the team. So that's all I'm saying is the Knicks, they need the right coach for these players. And I believe in Mike Brown. I think he's literally the perfect candidate for this team because he's coached a lot. He's won a lot. He has gotten a team to the finals, by the way. Albeit it did have LeBron James on it. But still, this is a guy who he knows what it takes to win. He's a defensive-minded coach, of course. And he's going to have, hopefully, Pablo Prigioni as one of his lead assistants to be able to run the offense, right? And then at least give them some help with the offense. And of course, Maurice Cheeks and Rick Brunson. I mean, there's some guys coming back on Tibbs' staff. But I think the Knicks, honestly, would benefit off of Simmons just because of his ability to play make, to defend, and to handle the basketball. That's one thing that Landry Shamet doesn't really provide, is he's not going to create his own shot, at least consistently. And obviously he doesn't have the size to be able to just switch 1 through 5. Not many do. But Ben Simmons, he's got a lot of flaws, but he also does kind of exactly what the Knicks need, the things that I just named. So I would personally lean towards, I don't know. I did say in my last video that Landry Shamet, I'd prefer him over Ben. I think Landry Shamet is perfect for New York because the lights are so bright. It's Madison Square Garden. I think Shamet's built for that. But I think Ben I think Ben's more of what the Knicks need. So I will lean towards Ben in this video. Hopefully the Knicks are able to get it done. But if they aren't able to get it done, I personally would be also completely okay with that. Because Landry Shamet, he was very similar to Dante DiVincenzo. I know, like, completely different roles. But DiVincenzo, he was placed into the starting lineup. And he played very well. And he won over the heart of the Knicks fans. And then Landry Shamet, of course, Game 3, moving forward to Game 6, he starts to get consistent run, plays very well, and wins over the heart of the Knicks fans. Both are very good shooters that can defend, that play with high energy. Yeah, I think Shamet, it just feels like, how would you not bring him back to this point? I mean, so Brunson's 1, Bridges is 2, and we're going counting roster spots. Hart is 3, OG 4, Cat 5, McBride 6, Clarkson 7, Yabusele 8, Mitch 9, Dottie 8, 10, Hart would be at 11, Hukporti 12, Kolek 13. Yeah, there is 2 roster spots open. Ooh, that's the thing. I had to count it to double check. And, of course, I'd imagine Diawara is going to be 14. And then, there's literally 1 roster. It sucks, too, because, like, Pacome Dottie and Tyler Kolek, they're not even going to be playing. It just feels like a waste of a roster spot. I get the Knicks drafted them and things like that. But just so annoying, man. It's so annoying. I mean, maybe I'm the only Knicks fan that thinks that. But, right now, I obviously you're not getting rid of Pacome Dottie because he's, 19 years old or whatever, and he's still developing. But at the same time here, I mean, when you're trying to win a championship, having one of those guys over Landry Shamet just makes literally no sense. But I know the Knicks are doing it for financial reasons. They're paying their starters and stars a lot of money, and then the guys at the back end of the bench, they're paying basically nothing. Like, I get financially that has to work, but it kind of sucks too. Like, I understand the aprons and things like that, but it's just kind of whack at the same time, man. But if they didn't have it, I mean, the league would just be broken, man. To be honest with you, it wouldn't even be exciting too.